Hey, everybody, we're here for the new season of Five for Talking, season 6. I'm here with Caps. We're tier listing. We're going to be ranking the teams before the season starts. Basically, just get our early opinions on what's going to happen here. So, Caps will open up the list for us, and we'll go through this. I'll give you a little instructions. All right, so you can see our categories here. We have Stanley Cup winner, which only one team from each conference is allowed to be there. The A tier is going to be all the contenders that are not the top team. B will be the really good teams in the conferences that have a chance to push for it, but probably won't. C is going to be teams that are on the fringe of the playoffs. And no chance is basically the teams that have no chance of probably even making the playoffs, let alone winning a Stanley Cup. So we'll start off here. The Anaheim Ducks, it's in alphabetical order, so we'll just take it from there. This is for the 2022-2023 season, by the way, in case you didn't know. So with the Ducks, I mean, they did make the playoffs last year. They're a pretty good team, but do we think they're going to go far?
I mean, I think they're in a rebuild mode. I think they performed well for the majority of last season, but then they kind of just dropped off towards the end. I think there's no way but up for them, and especially in a weak West.
I mean, they are minus Getzlaf.
But the rookies have gotten better.
Let's say C, because I think they could make the playoffs, but I don't think they have a shot at winning a cup.
Okay. I'll straight away just do that.
Yeah, we don't even need to do that. They're in like a deep rebuild.
Yeah.
Boston, I mean, they still got the core. They're still a solid team, but I don't think they have all the pieces to connect to go all the way.
So, what I was trying to say is with Boston, yes, they have their core. They're a little older. The other thing is that the East, I think, is stronger than last year because now they have spread a lot of players around throughout the Eastern Conference teams.
It's more consistently good.
Yeah. So when I'm looking at the East, I just think that there are just way too many good teams ahead of Boston.
But they're definitely a playoff team. Okay, that's a B, right? I mean, B's and B. It makes sense.
Now, just a reminder to everyone watching this video, like we can change this around towards the end.
We probably will. And also, the team on the left is the better team in the box. So as they move to the right, it'll be the lower ranked teams from that box.
Yeah.
Tough one. You already know my take here.
Yeah, this is a tough one for me though. But for you, I'm going to assume that this is Stanley Cup winner.
This is my Stanley Cup winner in the East. I mean, if we want, we can put it in A for now and discuss further.
I'll put it up here for now, and then we could we could definitely discuss that.
I just think that they're really, really full of talent. They have good goalies. They have good defensive core. They only picked up pieces, really. And once Pacioretty comes back, they're going to be an even better team. Well, we know our bungle on this from last season.
Yeah.
We thought Chicago was going to be an absolute monster, and they turned out to be the worst team in the NHL.
Yeah, I think this team is in shambles right now.
Yeah, I think just as an organization, it's not even worth betting on them to make the playoffs.
Yeah, they're. I don't even know. Like the organization, the players are just not on the same page. Yeah,
they're better than the Coyotes.
So I'll move that around. There you go. You said the left is on the stronger side, right?
The left is the stronger side.
All right. All right. So Colorado, they picked up Georgiev and they lost Kemper. And they lost Calgary.
They like I said in the massive amount of playoff arguments we had in our group chat. I've always thought they were going to go with Francois as their starting goalie. I never thought that Kemper was even going to be the starting goalie last year.
Yeah.
But I do think every game that he did play, he was really good in. So there's a really good chance that they could take a deep run with him again. And I mean, for me, they're still the favorites in the West. I know I'm going to have another argument coming up later, but I feel like you agree with this at this point.
Yeah, in terms of the West, I feel as though like Colorado is much more superior than some of the teams that are going to be discussing very, very soon. Doesn't matter if how good those teams have gotten, but Colorado, to me, have been together for a while. The core group is still together, and I still think that they have a good chance of repeating.
Their big three is equally, if not better, than the Leafs. So, I mean, that's an important piece to have if you're a team. They still have good defense.
Yeah.
Let's just.
And they're going to get better.
They're going to get better. I mean, missing Kadri, they didn't really replace Kadri. That's the whole thing.
No.
But I mean, at this point, you can't. So,
all right. Let's.
Colombo, I think, is like somewhere.
I was going to say B.
Yeah, you think a B?
Yeah, because like they picked up Goudreau. They still got. I think Patrick Laine's still there.
But do you think that in the East they're gonna finish somewhere in the middle of the pack, or are they gonna be like a 9-8-9 team? Because that's what I think.
I think they will be in the middle of the pack.
Okay,
well, I just don't think that teams like Jersey, Philly, Buffalo, those teams should be further down. I believe Columbus is just better than those teams, and I would dare say Columbus is better than New York Islanders as well.
Okay, so go B, but they're not better than Boston.
Correct. Yeah. Like I said, we can always we can just definitely discuss it.
In the Western Conference, the way that it is, you just went lights out.
Yeah, wow.
In the Western Conference, the way that it is, I think that Dallas is somewhere around Columbus. What is happening with your light?
I don't know, man.
It's mad at you. We're doing it live.
We're doing it live. All right. Jeez. Some experimentation going on over here. All right, let's go. Dallas.
I think they're around Columbus.
Before or after?
Okay, given the Western Conference, they're before.
Okay.
Yeah, because I think whether or not they're a better team than Columbus is kind of irrelevant to the point, because they're in the Western Conference, they will be better than Columbus will be in the East, I think.
Okay. All right. Sorry. Detroit.
I think they're possibly a fringe team, so I would say they're like behind the Ducks.
All right. I'm agreeing with you on this stuff. So Florida. I think I don't think they got better than last year.
I think they got worse, if anything. Yeah. But we still got to put them in A.
They're still good.
Yeah, we still got to go with A.
Yeah.
To me, okay, so this is where arguments happen. I genuinely think with the team that they have, and now that they have a real goalie, the first real goalie they've had since Curtis Joseph, they are potentially equal, if not better than the Avalanche. But for the sake of this list and being realistic and not just taking the gambling chance, I would say they're the number 1 A team. They have the two best players in the league.
But the problem is that goalie can't play a full season.
But that's why you have backup goalies.
Yeah. Who is their backup goalie? That's the problem, because they lost both their goalies, I think.
But here's the thing. Are they going to make the playoffs? Even if they lose the games, yes. And then when they get to the playoffs, Campbell's going to play every game, provided he doesn't get injured. Yeah. So if he did stay healthy, I got to think that they're a disgusting threat. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm okay with not putting them in the top, but I think that they are legitimate. They have a legitimate shot at winning a cup if everything lines up.
Yep, I agree. And you think they're better than Florida?
Yeah.
Okay.
They have Connor McDavid. That's I got to bank on the risk of Connor McDavid, right? The Islanders are better than the Ducks and the the Red Wings. Would you agree with that?
Yep. LA Kings. LA Kings were a bit of a surprise for me.
I think they're in the West. They're a B tier.
Yeah, and I would go as far as saying
they're better than Dallas. I really would put them ahead of Dallas. If you don't agree with it, I'm okay with it there. But
LA beats. No, LA lost to Edmonton and Dallas lost to Calgary, right?
Yeah.
I just think that Dallas's goal is just going to get better. But yeah, I think, you know what, for me, like it doesn't really matter for me. LA and Dallas, it seems like they're the same.
Yeah.
But I'm okay either way. Like, I'm cool with that. Sorry, I'm torn with this team because
I want to put them in A, but I can't.
I had very high expectations for them last year, and I thought they were going to go very, very far, but they didn't. They lost in the first round.
Okay, so not in terms of build, because I don't want to make this comparison in terms of roster build, but in terms of the kind of team they are, they're like the Leafs. They suppress you for the whole season, and they get to the playoffs and they bungle the playoffs. I want to say A really badly, but I can't. They're the top B team.
Yeah, I'll agree with you on that.
Because they're going to make the playoffs, but I don't think they're a contender. I really don't.
They would have to really change our minds in terms of what they could do in the playoffs. And yeah. Who they faced in the playoffs last year?
I can't even harken back to the playoffs of the yesteryear.
I have to really think about that.
They lost, so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
Montreal is gonna tank.
I don't know. I don't think so. I think they were playing well towards the end of the season. I just don't think that they're going to tank. I think they will be better than last year. I can tell you that much.
Yes, I agree. But with the team that they have and the injuries they have and no Carey Price, I think the goal of the franchise is to get Connor Bedard. Because just adding him to this roster that they have, they're instantly a top team in the East on paper.
Yeah, but they were playing better towards the end without Carey Price.
Okay, so in my opinion, this between the Canadiens, the Arizona Coyotes, and the Chicago Blackhawks are going to be fighting for the number 1 draft pick. If you think, I think the team is better than both of those. I think the team is still no chance, but they're the best team in this division. In this box. The thing is, I truly believe, as my opinion from doing this podcast for as long as we have, is that the Canadiens are going to try to tank this year.
Yeah, okay. And I guess you would have to argue that there has to be a team from the East that has to tank.
But also, let's be realistic. They're not going to make the playoffs, even if they have a better season.
Yeah, they're just way too many teams.
They're still in this box no matter what, right?
Yeah. Okay. I think it was Nashville actually that beat Minnesota last year.
Oh, you could be right, but you know what? Nashville is still a good team. Saros is turning out to be a really good goalie. I'm gonna say they're either right behind or ahead of Minnesota.
I'll agree with you on that.
They're a similar build to Boston.
And Yossi had a career year last year. I don't think they replicate that.
They have a solid core of players, and they're built really like two-way. You know what I mean?
Yep.
I really want the Devils to be good because their roster is nasty, but they just can't figure it out. They did get a goalie, but I mean, I don't know. This is a hard one for me. I'm gonna say they're like better than Detroit on paper, but I don't know if they're gonna finish higher than them.
I'll just simply put it there because I just don't think
They're better than no chance.
yeah, they're just not clicking right now.
Yeah, that's fair. That's absolutely fair.
Okay.
Well, you know my opinion here. I think the Rangers are probably better than the Panthers.
Yeah.
If you put it behind them, I wouldn't be mad. But if you put a team in between them later, I would be.
I think for me, I'm going to keep them in this spot.
I mean, I can live with this for sure, but I do think they're better than the Panthers.
But we could definitely change this after.
No, I'm okay with that. I just want everyone out there to know that I think the Rangers are better than the Panthers.
Oh, okay.
Ottawa is better than the Devils. Ottawa's pieces that they've added, they've sneakily become one of the better teams on paper overall. But I just don't think they're really missing that breakout guy. Is Stützle or Kachuk gonna have a breakout year this year and be a superstar? Is what they're missing.
I think yeah, this is a tough one. This is definitely a tough one. With all the pickups they made, like I think they got better.
But I don't think they're better than the Ducks. Especially considering the West is way weaker, right?
I'm going to go on a limb, dude, and I'm going to say they're better than the Islanders.
Okay, I'll take it. No argument here. This is a first. Nick has said something good about the Ottawa Senators.
Yeah. I just think that the Islanders are just in shambles right now, that I think Ottawa just has become so much better than them.
The Islanders are a big question mark, too, of can they stay healthy?
You want to talk about a question mark? Look at the team that's coming up next.
No, this is the worst team in the NHL.
Yeah, but if Tortorella can change the locker room, like they could get better. But you're right, there's just way too many better
between the organization. Between the organization, the roster, all the issues they've had, the constant injuries, they're going to try to tank, I think, this season.
All right, so I'm putting them behind the Montreal Canadiens.
I think Chicago's better than them.
Okay.
To be honest with you,
so those are our bottom four for two from the Eastern Conference and two from the Western. Those are our bottom four.
I still think there's an argument to be made that there could be another team from each conference in there. But let's continue this show.
Sure.
Pittsburgh, once again, see, this is the thing. You know how we always have this conversation about, like, you can't count out Pittsburgh. They have Malkin and Crosby.
Yeah.
But it's funny because when we talk about the Oilers, other than where we have them this year, we don't ever say that. We're never like, well, they have McDavid and Draisaitl. Like, the same argument, they're a better team than Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh is ahead of Minnesota, or in between Minnesota and Nashville.
I'm going to put them ahead.
I genuinely think Pittsburgh is going to have a good year this year. I liked a lot of the little moves they made.
Yeah, I think they had a good year last year too.
A surprisingly good one that we did not expect, especially with the injuries.
No.
And Crosby carried that team on his back for every game that he played. And then Malkin is nasty in the playoffs.
Yeah. Goals played well too.
San Jose, I think, is a no chance. I don't even think they have a chance at the playoffs. That's where I wanted to continue that argument.
Okay, I'll agree with you on that. Where do you want me to put them?
They're better than Montreal.
All right. Seattle.
They're behind New Jersey. I don't even really think this is much of a discussion. They have a chance at the playoffs, but they're not a good team.
Okay. St. Louis.
Behind the Rangers.
Wow.
I think the depth
St.
on the,
Louis beat Minnesota.
there you go.
There you go. That's what it
The
was.
depth on the team is crazy. They still have star power, especially if Tarasenko stays healthy. They're really built like a two-way team. They have a good goalie. They have a good defensive core. I think that they're a well-managed organization and they click together. Even if you don't think there's a superstar player on the team knows how to work together. And I just genuinely think if you're going Western Conference, they're a team with a chance.
Okay. All right, Tampa.
I'll let you make the argument first because you already know where I'm going to go with
Jeez.
this.
I just think they got the best goalie in the league, and yes, does your goalie score goals? No, but he's definitely the one that can keep it 0-0 for you, so that you have a chance to score a goal. I mean, I just think that they're a fantastic team, and I'm going to put them right here. And you let me know what you think.
Well, I would put them behind the Rangers. I wouldn't even have them in A tier anymore. But I mean, the fact that you just can't seem to count this team out makes me feel like they have to be an A tier. They did get a lot weaker than they were last season, where they already didn't play that good in the regular season. Yes, they performed in the playoffs, but they shouldn't even have beat the Leafs, let alone have beat Florida 4-0.
Yeah, it just happened. It happened,
Yeah,
though.
you know what I mean? It did.
But that's why I'm putting them better than Florida, because of the fact of what they did to Florida last year. Like, they just absolutely destroyed them.
That's fair. But I think if we're looking at a combination of what they look like on paper this year, plus our predictions, plus what they did last year, they're not better than Edmonton. I think Vasilevsky is better than Edmonton.
because of the fact that Edmonton's in the West and Tampa's in the East.
That's a huge factor. And also, I think the loss of the small pieces that happened in Tampa Bay is huge. They're missing one of their top three defenders now. They're missing one of their top four forwards, and they got nothing to replace any of that on top of the other little pieces that they lost. And then coming out of the season when they won the cup going into last year, they lost a bunch of pieces that they didn't replace either. And I just think Stamkos is aging. Are they still a contender? Of course they are. It's Tampa Bay, right? But like, I just don't have faith that they're going to win a cup this year. But you can't count them out. It's a weird position I'm in. Like, it's a very weird position.
I'm going to have to argue. I think they got a better chance. In terms of the rankings, I think they got a better chance of winning the cup than Florida does. But then the Rangers throw me off.
I think the Rangers are better than Florida. I really do.
You know what? Let's do this now.
I can live with this because, like I said, I would have Tampa Bay in A tier, 100%. Like,
this is coming off a season last year where Florida had a record-setting season for points.
But being in A tier and in the top four of A tier, well, it won't be for long. I think is a huge thing.
Yeah.
So, I mean, okay, I'll take this one. Okay,
go for it.
So we're gonna do a Leafs episode, which will be out after this one. We'll discuss the little issues that they're going to have. I'm not going to go too deep into that now, but I think on paper, what they're trying to build now is the right kind of team that you build to win a cup. They're trying to get, I wouldn't necessarily say grittier or tougher, but they're getting way more defensive in their choices from their forwards and so on.
However, there's a lot more question marks.
There is. I think the goalie duo is much better than we've had in a while, but it's a big question mark.
Yeah.
I would say, okay, I know you're not going to agree with better than Tampa, but they're better than the Rangers. And if they're not better than the Rangers, they're better than Florida.
Man.
For me, they're the number one contender in the East, next to Carolina.
All right, how about that?
I can live with that because we all know what happens in the playoffs, right? Let's not pretend it doesn't. But I feel like this team that they've put together they're not going for the world's greatest on paper team. They're trying to build a team like Nashville has or like Florida has, where They have star power, but they have a lot of defensive depth.
Yep.
Mind you,
All
none
right.
of it's on defense.
Yeah, we'll go into a deep dive after.
Yeah.
I don't want to. I'll settle with that. I'm good with that. Vancouver. This is a tough one.
I would say, okay, I'm not a believer yet. So you're probably going to want them in B. I would say they're better than Ottawa.
Okay.
Because I do think they're a decent team and they do have a legit shot at making the playoffs, but they're not going to win a cup this year. Vegas. I still think at full health, they're a good team. To me, they'll be behind Columbus because I think they will make the playoffs. If you think they're a fringe team, we can go C, but they're definitely high up in C.
I've lost confidence in this team. I think there is definitely a division in there in management and the players, which, you know, and I would dare say Jack Eichel being there kind of creates a little more friction in the dressing room. That's just my opinion.
Go see then if you want.
But there was a time during the last portion of last season where Vegas and Vancouver were like, head to head trying to get to that last playoff spot. And, it looked like Vancouver was the better team, but just Vegas just squeaked in. Well, no, they didn't squeak in. They were just both not that great. I'm getting them confused with another team, actually. Yeah.
Okay, we can do this because C is still teams that that are probably have a good shot at making the playoffs.
Yeah.
So they're equally or like they're right on Vancouver territory.
Yeah. No. All right, let's keep it as is.
Okay. So the Capitals, I'll take this one. I think they lost a bunch of pieces, and you're like, oh no, but then they replaced all those pieces with equal caliber players. So, and if Oshie and Backstrom can stay healthy this year, I think they're still a pretty deep team. I would say they're better than Pittsburgh.
I heard something that Backstrom won't be ready or something like that.
He's not going to be ready right away. He's supposed to come back into the season. They're in the Pittsburgh, Minnesota area. They're a playoff team.
Are they better than Boston?
Yeah.
All right.
I think Boston has a really unproven defensive core and goalie system. Where you have Kemper now as the goalie in the Capitals, and their defense, they have Carlson. Like, they're pretty evened out on that end.
Okay. Winnipeg.
The
move that happened the other day with taking away the captaincy from Blake Wheeler, I think just pisses them off even more. And I think even that move in itself kind of makes them a little worse.
They're better than Seattle. They're better than New Jersey, maybe.
But what I'm trying to say is that I don't see them doing well this season, but they're not horrible like the last.
No, on paper, their team is really good. And if you're going to talk about Vasilevsky, come on, Hellebuck is arguably the second best goalie in the NHL on his skill level. But I just feel like for some reason the last two seasons they can't figure it out.
Goalie change. Well, not the goalie change, the coaching change, and
they should be an A-tier team. They should be, but they're not. They're going to be, to me, they're somewhere in the Detroit, New Jersey, Seattle range.
Are they better than Anaheim?
On paper, yes, but they're definitely not better than the Islanders.
How about that?
Yeah, I can live with that. Okay.
Oh boy, this is going to be...
Calgary is either ahead or behind Tampa Bay. I don't think this is much of a discussion. I think they got better than they were last year. They added a huge defensive piece and then got all their re-signing done, and they replaced their 2 losses of forwards with another superstar. So
they lost one of the top D, but they got another top defenseman.
who did they lose on defense?
Monahan.
No, he was a center.
Oh, wait a minute. I thought they lost someone else. Okay.
No, yeah. I know who you're thinking of because we talked about it, but I can't remember his name. But yeah, they're good.
Okay. I'll go with you on that.
Yeah, I can live with that because it doesn't really matter where we place Tampa Bay in that situation because Calgary's going to have to face Edmonton or Colorado at some point. So it's a no factor. I think Buffalo is going to be better. The team that they've built is they figured out how to build a New York Islanders / Nashville / Minnesota type team where you don't have a cancerous superstar in the head of it.
Yeah, but I just don't think I think Detroit has done a better job at rebuilding. I just don't see Buffalo being better than them.
Buffalo is better than Seattle. So now the argument is, are they better or worse than New Jersey?
I'll let you take that.
They're better than New Jersey not by on paper, but they're going to have a better season is my prediction. So, I mean, I'm okay with this actually.
Is this like a first?
I do think that there's an argument to be made from your end about Tampa Bay because I know how you feel about Tampa Bay, but I think if we go roster to roster on paper, Carolina is better.
I'm good with this.
Yeah,
I think just based on where the teams are in the Western and Eastern Conference teams, like if this was like just one full conference where everybody was in the same conference, then you would see teams being rearranged. But because of where they are in their respective conference, I think this is fine.
And I think that's something in our previous years of doing this, we've never taken that into factor. We always just kind of compared everybody against everybody. And I think the Western Conference leaves a lot of open doors. Like potentially, I'm not going to move this because I really like the layout. But there's potential here that because it's the Western Conference, you could put LA all the way in A tier. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I agree.
It's weird but if you compare them to the East teams, they're probably a C tier compared to the East teams.
No.
I do think we should put Colorado ahead of Carolina because they did win the cup last year, and I do think it would be crazy to say that Carolina is better than the team that just won the cup.
I am good with that.
Yeah.
You know what? It's so funny because I'm just looking at this, and I know we're gonna piss off some Boston fans. I feel like maybe they should be higher up, but just based on the layout of the conferences, it's like that's how we feel this should go.
But look, genuinely, the layout here, so you have Carolina, Tampa Bay, New York, Toronto, Florida, Pittsburgh, Washington. So realistically, Pittsburgh, Washington, Columbus are going to be fighting and Pittsburgh are going to be fighting for rank at the bottom of the playoffs, I think, and who's going to be out. Because in the East, it's different. So in the West, I do believe that maybe Winnipeg, maybe Anaheim, Vancouver, these teams are going to be fighting for a last place playoff spot. I don't think Ottawa or the Islanders are going to be even fighting for a last place playoff spot. They're going to be like in the 9th zone.
Yeah, so the way it's laid out is 1, 2, 3.
Boston would be 8th at this point.
6. It's so funny because I'm looking at it and it's like it's pretty much the same layout as last year in terms of how the playoffs started, with the exception of maybe Florida. Everybody else is pretty much in the same.
But I think
it's funny.
it's going to be relatively like that because the East
Yeah.
is so strong and it's so spread out now that
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a parody of like we already know what's going to happen. The West is like throw the hats in the air and whatever lands facing up is making the playoffs.
Yeah. You know what? I don't care what anybody says. I'm good with this.
Yeah, I think this is
So,
great. That's it. All right.
Yeah.
Let us know what you think in the comments. Like the video, subscribe, tell Caps how nice his hair is, and peace out.
I'm taking a picture of this.